Got my fire, my coffee. That's all I need nowadays. So what's up? Sup? So I've been meaning to make trip reports since I started tripping, but I haven't got to it yet. No surprise there. I'm a stoner. I'm a coffee addict too, apparently. I'm gonna talk about 2CE today, or right meow. To give you a little background info on 2CE, it's known as a phenylalanine. I used to call it phenethylamine, but that's not how you pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce it, to be honest. Phenylalanine or something. It's made by Alexander Shulgin. He talks about it in his book P-Cow, phenethylamines I have known and loved. And it's one of the stronger 2Cs there is. So I had already done 2CI my junior year, and I finally got a hold of a good amount of 2CE. I bought, I think it was 25 grams of it or something from a chemical manufacturer. And I had already done 2CI, whatever. I was ready to go to the next one up. And I'm going to talk about my heroic dose of 2CE. I have other 2CE trips, but I was going to do like a big 50 milligram trip. So me and my friend needed a place to do it, because at this point I was still in high school with my parents and stuff. So we got a campsite at our fairground, and it wasn't too cold out yet. It wasn't cold out at all. Actually, it was summer, so it was warm out. We went to our fairgrounds, and we had a tent and his Mustang. So we're gonna trip in the Mustang and in the tent. And we ended up inviting these two other kids to come do it with us too. So how we dosed, this was my junior year, I think, by the way. I put half of 100 milligram bag, poured that into a cup of Coca-Cola, and then drank it, and it was gross, tasted bad. And my friends did a little bit less, and we were planning on maybe snorting some too after we were already feeling it. So my fairgrounds, it was sketchy because we were off just in some grass area as the sun was starting to go down, and we hadn't like paid for a spot or anything, so we already thought people were going to come ask us what we were doing there anyways. And our fairgrounds was right next to a pretty ghetto neighborhood. Not that that's something I would be worried about normally, but tripping kind of got to me. Our fairgrounds has horse stables and big open grass field and some bathrooms and stuff, and a bunch of houses, like not houses but like warehouse building things for when they do different exhibits. So this is how it goes anyways. I did my dose, if I remember correctly. The sun was going down. I was ready to be up the whole night, and I was. And the 2CE, when it first starts hitting you, the first thing you notice is that there's a heavy body load. The first thing that happened to me was I threw up, because 2CE is intense as fuck. So that whole night on the come up, I probably threw up like 8 separate times from this shit, which wasn't fun. But it's like each time I threw up, it brought in a new wave that was more intense. So it started off just feeling like 2CI, like a high dose 2CI, and I've done 100 milligrams 2CI, and this 50 milligrams 2CE was way crazier. I don't know, I'm not gonna beat around the bush a lot trying to explain to you what tripping is like, but on this dose of 2CI, it was one of those times where the visuals were so strong that you couldn't see where you were. Like, you could see branches up in your face and like shit in your face. Like I couldn't see my friend's face, and he's 2 feet away from me. I would try to look at him, and it was just blurry shit happening. Like I could see where his body was, but I couldn't make out his face. What I noticed about 2CE was that it doesn't feel the same at all for any point of the trip. It's not like it feels one way for 6 hours. You feel different the whole time. Like, we were in a tent for a while, and I remember feeling like I had just woken up, like from a camping trip. Like if I looked around, and then I would stop feeling that, and suddenly I would feel like I was in a dark castle underworld or something, and then I would stop feeling that. the visuals would go from being everywhere and like you feeling like soft and kind of like melting into stuff to the visuals only being at one point of where your focus was and everything else being normal, and then something that you were looking at tripping out, and then you start feeling different. I can't explain in words how you feel during it. It doesn't inherently feel like good, like, oh, this feels great. It's intense. It feels like something weird is going on in your body, like you're dying or some shit. I remember closing my eyes and seeing faces, like there's fucking random trippy faces coming at me and shit. It was really weird because we were with kids who hadn't tripped on shit. There's a plane. We were with kids who hadn't tripped on shit before, and the chemistry with us was really weird. We were all suspicious of each other the whole time, and suspicious of people running up, and suspicious of like someone checking that we hadn't paid for our camping, which never happened, luckily. At one point, we went to, after I had started puking, or stopped puking, I mean, and I was fully tripping. I remember kept saying this shit's crazy, like, because it's super intense. I was just trying to keep together and trying to keep to myself a little bit. I remember looking at a $10 bill, and it was like a stereogram, like the head of the dude on the $10 bill was out here, but the numbers were back in there, so it was like this 3D dollar bill, and I was like, there's no way this shit's like 3D right now, like it was 3D. And we had to go to the bathroom, so we all decided to go walk to the bathrooms, which were like half a mile away, like in the fair. And I swear, when I was walking, I seen the greenest grass ever. The lights came on there, and the grass was like ultra super green, like Technicolor green, and it was growing in front of me, like just growing. And I remember I started having memories of the fair there. So it was like I could hear the people there in the fair, and I could hear the booths and the cotton candy being made, and I could feel all that going on even though it was vacant. So it felt like the fair was going while we were walking through there. Like, that's how hard we were tripping, is I couldn't tell if there was people around and we were at a fair that was going, or if we were just there at night. I forgot by then. In the bathroom, they have those koala bear, like, changing stations where it's a baby changing station and there's a little koala bear on it. And I remember I was looking at the koala bear and the whole room was tripping out, whatever. Like, the whole room, visuals, I'm feeling trippy, like. And then suddenly, the whole room stops tripping out. And I'm looking at the koala bear, and like I said, only the koala bear's doing stuff now. So I'm watching the koala bear, like, give me this look, like, he knows me. Like, he's like, I know you, man. Like, he starts going like this and doing this little squirmy movement, like he's dancing. And suddenly he starts, like, just fucking with me. And I'm looking at him like, this can't be happening right now. Like, I was watching it move and change its facial features and shit while the rest of the room was totally normal. I was like, holy shit, the koala bear knows me. Like, the koala bear was sending vibes at me and shit. And then it would stop tripping out, and then the rest of the room would go back. So 2CI was really, really weird like that. Like, at one point it would feel like, or 2CE, I mean, sorry. It would feel like you were tripping on 2CI for a little bit, and then it would switch to something totally different. Like, it would keep switching feelings on you, and you wouldn't know what to make of it. As far as intensity, it was intense enough to make me throw up 8 times in a row, and to literally think that I was about to get jumped in a tent. 4 different times I thought I was going to get jumped just for no reason. My friends kept regretting taking it, and that you can't do that. You can't take it and then after it regret taking it, because trust me, once you're done tripping, you won't regret it. You'll be like, oh, that shit was crazy, it changed my life, I don't care if I threw up, whatever. But during it, you might get that feeling like, oh, I want this to stop, like, why did I do this, I'm so stupid. Like, you can't let yourself feel that way. And I just kept telling him, like, it'll be over, like, you're alright, it's not gonna kill you, or anything like that. And alas, it did not kill us. I don't recommend you go out and try to do these things just because you can never know that's what you're getting. Or a chemist can make a batch that's bad and you won't be safe. You'll take something that isn't 2CE and who knows what could happen. I have an experience where I overdosed on 25 I know that I'll talk about sometime. But this heroic dose of 2CE, it didn't have the effect that I felt like it should have had. On 50 milligrams, I wanted to see things that weren't there. I wanted to see a rhinoceros running through the fair, but I didn't. I seen a koala bear give me weird looks and shake, and I seen trees grow into my face like shit. Oh, what I did see, this was the first time I ever got color change. As the sun was coming up, the sky looked like it was going through the color wheel. So usually when you have that cool purplish blue look of the sky, it would go from that to green to yellow to orange, just shifting through it, and it was so psychedelic. I remember just like looking up at it like, wow, color shifting fucking sky. That shit was crazy. That shit was worth the whole thing. We ended up not sleeping at all. We were told my parents we were going off to a campground to go just sleep or whatever, and we ended up totally just tripping the whole night. And when you're tripping, you're always tripped out. Something's gonna happen. Like I was scared my parents were gonna show up, or this person was gonna show up, or something. And it all went well in the end. In the morning, after we were coming down a little bit, we had to drive my friends home. I trusted my friend driving on this. I'll never trust my friend or anyone driving on this kind of shit again, because this is the same friend that in the future got in a drunk driving accident. Luckily, we were coming down, and it's crazy that he could drive on 2CE, but then under a legal substance like alcohol, he ends up getting in a drunk accident with one of the kids that was tripping with us that night, interestingly enough. But yes, it was a hard ordeal to set up a tent tripping. It was hard to keep together that night for me. I surprised I didn't freak out and just run away, because the whole night I was getting weird mind thoughts like there's people coming for you, and that's something that happens a lot when you're tripping. Anyways, I don't mean to make you bored or go into too much detail, so I'm trying to remember if there's anything I missed. I can't think of anything important. Those are some of the details of the things that happened that night. That was a heroic dose of 2CE. So yeah, subscribe. I'm gonna make more of these, maybe. Probably I'm gonna make more of these.